Partnership in Practice, where we take a deep dive into the diagnostic and playbook and implementation processes with one of our partner institutions. And today we have Ryan Goodwin from University of Central Florida, who is a longtime partner of Georgia State, longtime friend of Georgia State. UCF is a longtime partner of the NISS. And so we're really excited to have you here today, Ryan.
I'm glad to be here. NISS and your team have been great partners over the last few years, and super pleased to be here.
Absolutely. So UCF went through the diagnostic and playbook process in July of last year and has since highlighted the importance of the NISS support in addressing some of the long-standing challenges at UCF. So what has been the most significant impact of NISS engagement in UCF's student success initiatives?
Sure, it has been really impactful in a few areas. One, it has expedited our progress on a number of initiatives and challenges that we had. So for us, we knew the areas that we needed to make some changes in were related to advising, which we now call academic success coaching, enhanced coordination of student-facing communications, and improving our ability to strategically schedule courses so that students can make timely progress, that the courses that they need are available to them. One of the ways that it's helped us make rapid progress is, I guess I would say, external validation. So having NISS as a partner provided some welcome external validation of our challenges and opportunities, and was really instrumental in selling our vision for changes to our approach to student success to the larger campus community, and helping us shape our vision for that in significant ways. So it was really helpful to have external expert voices speak alongside us, particularly so for making the argument for the needed changes to the university's most senior leaders. That was really helpful. And last, I would say just the NISS's partnership has been really significant. So we've found great value in working with the team at NISS on a regular basis. They've been really wonderful thought partners. When we have ideas or needs or sticky wicket problems, they're always there to think through a challenge together. And I really think that it's just a top tier team of professionals and partners.
Thank you, Ryan. Thank you. It's been quite the pleasure to work with you all as well. And the point that you made about having an external voice, someone to come in from the outside and sometimes say the things that sometimes the people inside the organization have been saying or the institution have been saying, is something that we hear a lot. So thank you for raising that. One of UCF's recommendations was around coordinating student communication, and you have already embarked on a project and completed the first phase of a communication mapping project. Can you talk a little bit about how that went and how it was received?
Sure. So the first phase of the mapping project went really well. We mapped all large-scale student communications from enrollment deposit through orientation for our first-time in college students. And I'll be honest, we didn't really know how it would be perceived when we launched that initiative. So we're a very large division of over 40 units and thousands of employees. And I had some concerns that folks might feel like we're invading their space or taking autonomy from them. But that's not the reaction that we got. So the initial reception was positive. And folks were overwhelmingly accepting the observation that our student-facing communications were uncoordinated and that we could just do better generally. And I will say the folks we ended up working with were even more bullish on the effort after we completed the phase 1 mapping process and showed them a visual representation of what those communications looked like. And I will say in our first phase, for example, which again is just that sort of narrow time frame from enrollment deposit through orientation, we learned that an individual student could receive up to 388 possible communications from us over 91 different topics, and 34% of those were repeated or included follow-up reminders of the same content. 81% were from emails, 19% in text. And we also learned that we had 6 different communication modes utilized, including 4 separate texting platforms.
My goodness.
So there's definitely some opportunities for us in there. To dig a little bit deeper, if you let me.
Yeah,
So, of
please.
those, we identified participants identified 56 issues with communications that we felt we could remedy, and kind of summarized into a handful of topics. One was just increased coordination between units, and that's coordination in who's sending what message, the tone of
Yeah,
messages, is the language that we're using consistent across the division. The second is data, tools, and processes supporting communications. Um, we were concerned with information oversaturation, the student experience, completing tasks, and a big question of when it's okay to text, when should we employ texting platforms.
yeah, yeah.
So of those 56 problems, we identified 142 ideas to resolve those issues and then voted for the best ones from there. And those overall ideas were measured on impact of on the student experience, time savers for staff, and quick wins, and just best overall ideas. And from there, we developed a three-phase implementation plan to resolve those issues for phase one. So we did what we could do immediately to
Yeah.
better coordinate and change, but long term, as we move through this first year, we have a committee that will be working together to craft messages, to better coordinate messaging
Yeah.
calendars, all that sort of stuff. So it was really positive, really impactful, and really revealing, I think,
Yeah.
to the folks in the campus community about how uncoordinated we were.
Absolutely. And I love that story that you told because I think it shows how work momentum for this work can really build, right?
Yep,
Regardless of how anybody felt kind of when the idea first came to the table, once you have that data and that information in front of you, it's hard not to take action, right? It's hard to,
exactly.
to walk away from that and not do something. And it's incredible what you guys have decided to do in response. Yeah, great, great. So what's next? What are you doing next in this initiative?
Yeah, so what's next is that was one phase with
Mhm.
one part of our student population, first time in college students. So UCF is a little unique in that we're about 50% first time in college students and 50% transfer students.
Okay.
So our next phase is that same period of time, enrollment deposit to through orientation, but for transfer students.
Yeah.
So they receive, a very oftentimes a very different set of communications about their processes, and we are in process of identifying those, mapping those right now. Once we're doing, I would say, a number of concurrent steps. So um, one is implementing the solutions from the first phase that I just talked about. Two is launching the second phase. And then the other phases will be sort of time delineated as well and working through the full 4-year cycle here. So we, when we looked at this on the front end, we thought at an institution of 70,000 students, there's no way we are going to map all of our student facing communications for
Yeah.
all types of students in
Mhm.
all 4 years all at once. So we're eating the elephant one bite at a time, if you
Yeah.
will, on that one.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Great. Great. Incredible work. So shifting gears a little bit, UCF is also, as if you weren't doing enough with the student communications mapping, you're also restructuring your advising standard of care, and you
Yes.
are working on scaling that new structure. I know you're looking to expand some new technology. What are some of the successes that you're having with that project so far?
Sure. So this is one of the most dramatic changes I've seen at UCF in my nearly 10 years here, and I'm really excited about it. So I would say the first success we had, and with the help of the NISS, is we had a plan. There was actually a plan on paper, an organizational structure, a framework, philosophies, problems identified, solutions identified. So we had a plan, we communicated the plan, and we're implementing the plan.
Yeah.
And that is a huge, huge win. And that happened really in a matter of months. And this was a topic we've been discussing for years on this campus,
Yeah.
and with NISS as a catalyst, we were able to get to resolution really quickly.
Yeah.
And context here, previously advising at UCF was basically fully decentralized. So
Yeah.
each college administered their own advising operation, with the exception of one small central unit for undeclared students or students in transition. and students started at those colleges from day one. And there was very little central oversight about it.
Right.
So the second win for us is the way that I think about the model is now we're centrally coordinated but locally deployed. And what I mean by that is all of our reporting lines for what we now call academic success coaches, formerly advisors, report centrally to a new assistant vice president for academic success coaching who lives in the Division of Student Success and Wellbeing. But we maintain those operations physically in the college because we wanted to meet students where they are day to day. And we wanted to ensure that our academic success coaches maintained and enhanced critical college and major-based expertise and experiences, and maintain those relationships they had with the experts in those programs as well. In that centrally coordinated, locally deployed model, all of our ASCs now receive a common training. They're using common tools. They're held accountable to one set of expectations rather than 13 different sets of expectations. Beginning with this fall's entering class, all entering students will have a specific ASC assignment from the moment they step on campus. So they will know that their ASC is Jessica and they go to this place to find them. Our goal is for that ASC to stick with the student, to keep their eyes on that student for all 4 years. In the case that a student changes a major, that we do a soft handoff there, and that we've leveraged technology in a way that allows the next ASC to see all of the notes, see all of the interactions the student has had previously. So those were wins. And I'm a little lengthy here, but it's so
no. Thank you for sharing all that. That is remarkable progress. I remember when our team had the opportunity to go visit UCF. I think you were just on the cusp of making some of these transitions and changes, and we had the opportunity to speak with groups of advisors. And there were a lot of thoughts and feelings about, what should happen and what's going on. So maybe you could also talk about some of the challenges of a major advising redesign like this. What are some of the things that have been hard?
Sure. So I guess I'll talk about a couple of things that were causing problems that we're now working on resolving, but have associated challenges with those resolutions. So one is we were having a really difficult time recruiting and retaining high quality academic advisors. Our compensation was not competitive. So we changed our compensation model, increased salaries significantly. So previously our minimum starting salary for an advisor was $32,000, and the range was fairly high. We raised that minimum to $48,000, which we landed on after a market analysis. So that's something that we worked on solving, but it also comes with a lot of pushback on campus. Any investment in something new means something else is not invested in a way that another stakeholder group on campus may want. So faculty in particular had some concerns about this because from the faculty perspective, they felt that investing more in faculty would do more to support student success than investing more in an advising model. I'm in complete agreement with them that a strong faculty definitely supports student success, but we were so sort of woefully under-resourced in the advising space that this was helpful. Similarly, a challenge and I think messaging and reactions to this is we are adding a number of academic success coaches. So our ratios were wild. They ranged from 300 to 1 in one college to 2,000 to 1 in another college, and we just didn't have enough people. So in June and July, we'll add about 24 new ASCs. So those things were challenges, but more high level challenges, I would say this is a paradigm shift on this campus, and so part of that is an organizational paradigm shift from a really decentralized operation. And I think previously, or maybe one of the most decentralized operations I was aware of at a large research institution. And now I think we might be the most centralized operation that I'm aware of at a large research institution. And also philosophically. So we didn't just change the name of advisors to academic success coaches for no reason.
Right.
We read the literature on coaching and thought a really blended model that merged the roles, functions, care management style of advising and coaching together would
Yeah.
provide the optimal experience for students. So that philosophical paradigm shift is significant for us.
Well, thank you for sharing. It has been fascinating to just peek behind the curtain and get a little insight into all of the transformative change that's happening at UCF. One last question that I have for you before we end, and that is, what advice would you have for other institutions looking to implement similar changes on their campus?
Sure. So, in thinking about that, thinking about how you get buy-in and then how you maintain momentum
Yeah.
from there is really important. And folks ask us a lot, like, how are you going to maintain momentum, and what advice do you have? And I'm really happy to say that I I do not think that there is a high risk of us losing momentum. And the
Mm.
reason is because of the way that we um, structured what is now the organizational structure, strengthening the infrastructure for academic success coaching, for communications. We're building a structure that sort of enables itself to keep going
Yeah.
over time. So thinking really clearly about that, about these things not being one-time infusions of energy or resources, but as permanent changes to the way that you're doing things. And the other thing that I would say is, it would have been really hard to make these changes and to keep the momentum if we just had unfunded ideas or unfunded mandates. And we're very thankful for the university for investing a substantial amount of money in this. And
Yeah.
part of the reason for that, that I would recommend to other institutions, is the Division of Student Success and Wellbeing and the university are incredibly aligned right now on student success and well-being. So student success and well-being is the first priority in the university's strategic plan. Student success and well-being has associated metrics that the state of Florida keeps us accountable for. So all of the kind of machinery around this has allowed us to reach a consensus opinion that student success is the number one priority on this campus, and that makes getting things done a lot easier. You're never going to make these changes without some pushback and without some challenges and without some hard choices. But working to get that alignment from the start, and then sticking with the plan when you do feel a little fire,
Right.
moving forward, I think is really important.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. It's really inspiring to hear the work that's happening, especially at a school like UCF, during this time when a lot of, higher student success practitioners feel like they're climbing uphill to get a lot of this work done, and
Yep.
they're fighting against all types of different, pushback and forces. It is fantastic to have, an example of what success in this area looks like. So thank you for sharing that. All right. Well,
Glad to be here. Thank you.
thank you again for joining us for Partnership in Practice, and we appreciate our time with you.
Thank you. Take care.
All right. Bye, Ryan.